sir.
Are these on? Wow, geez, there's Before we begin our meeting tonight, I'd been asked to read this proclamation and present this to Michael Gorman from Bike Blowno. Whereas the bicycle is a viable and environmentally sound form of transportation and an excellent form of recreation. And whereas in the first 2 months since Normal launched Bike Share 309, more than 300, now 500, people have ridden the shared bikes many hundreds of times. And whereas Normal has been certified as a bronze bicycle-friendly community by the League of American Bicyclists since November 2014, whereas these bicycling activities and attractions have great potential to have a positive impact on Normal's economy and tourism industry, and to stimulate economic development by making the town attractive to businesses and citizens. Whereas creating bicycle-friendly communities has shown to improve citizens' health, well-being, and quality of life, to boost community spirit, to improve traffic safety, and to reduce pollution and congestion. And whereas the education of bicyclists and motorists as to the proper and safe operation of bicycles is important to ensure the safety and comfort of all users. And whereas the McLean County Regional Planning Commission will be encouraging commuters to avoid single occupancy vehicles during the Good to Go Commuter Challenge, May 15th through the 21st of 2017. And whereas the League of American Bicyclists, Bike Blowno, the West Bloomington Revitalization Project's new bike co-op, the McLean County Regional Planning Commission, the McLean County Wheelers, the Comlar Off-Road Biking Association, Friends of the Constitution Trail, Ride Illinois, and bicycle clubs, schools, parks and recreation departments, police departments, hospitals, companies, and civic groups throughout Illinois. Did I leave anybody out? I think I got everybody. And the U.S. will be promoting bicycling as a leisure activity, as well as an environmentally friendly alternative to the automobile during National Bike to Work Week, which is May 15th through May 19th of 2017. Whereas the third day of May has been declared National Bike to Work Day by the League of American Bicyclists for each of the last 61 years, and it is so again in 2017. Now therefore I, Chris Coos, Mayor of the Town of Normal, do hereby proclaim May 19th, 2017 as Bike to Work Day in Normal, Illinois. And we urge all who support bicycling to participate in events planned, and urge all road users to share the road safely with bicyclists. So, Michael.
Thank you very much.
Call to order a special meeting for the Normal Local Liquor Commission. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Coos?
Here.
Mr. Fritzen is not here. Mr. McBride?
Here.
Mrs. Cummings? Here. Mrs. Lorenz?
Here.
Mr. Preston?
Here.
Mr. McCarthy?
Here.
Purpose of this special meeting is to review application information and consider the issuance of new liquor licenses for two new businesses in the community. The first is a liquor license application for Distill Brewery LLC, doing business as a Distill Brewery at 1200 Greenbrier Drive in Normal. And they are asking for a Class M brew pub, Class H outdoor garden, and Class I wine tastings license at 1200 Greenbrier Drive. Motion for approval?
Move approval.
Is there discussion on this item? Please call the roll.
Mr. McBride?
Aye.
Mrs. Cummings?
Aye.
Mrs. Lorenz?
Aye.
Mr. Preston?
Aye.
Mr. McCarthy?
Aye.
The liquor license is approved. The second application is from Normal Lodging LLC, doing business as the Radisson Hotel at 8 Trader Circle in Normal, and has requested a Class E hotel license. Motion for approval?
Move approval.
Discussion on this item. Please call the roll.
Mrs. Cummings?
Aye.
Mrs. Lorenz?
Aye.
Mr. Preston?
Aye.
Mr. McCarthy?
Aye.
Mr. McBride?
Aye.
That concludes, that liquor license is awarded as well, and that concludes our business for the special meeting. Oh, do we have one more?
Next page.
Oh, yes, we do. The third one is a liquor license application for Portillo's Hot Dogs LLC, doing business as Portillo Hot Dogs, and the request is for a Class C beer and wine only on-premise consumption and a Class H outdoor garden license.
Move approval.
Thank you.
Second.
Is there discussion on this item? Please call the roll.
Mrs. Lorenz?
Aye.
Mr. Preston?
Aye.
Mr. McCarthy?
Aye.
Mr. McBride?
Aye.
Mrs. Cummings?
Aye.
That license is also awarded. That concludes our business. Motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Thank you. Please call the roll.
Mr. Preston?
Aye.
Mr. McCarthy?
Aye.
Mr. McBride?
Aye.
Mrs. Cummings?
Aye.
Mrs. Lorenz?
Aye.
Mayor Kus?
Aye. Call to order a regular meeting for the Normal Town Council for May 15th, 2017. Please call the roll.
Mayor Kus?
Here.
Mr. Fritzen is not here. Mr. McBride?
Here.
Mrs. Cummings?
Here.
Mrs. Lorenz?
Here.
Mr. Preston?
Here.
Mr. McCarthy?
Here.
We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As always, our first item of business is the omnibus agenda. Items that are considered routine in nature and will be handled by one vote unless a council member would like to pull an item for discussion. I would like to be excused from voting on any bills I may have incurred in my duties as mayor. And seeing no other, motion for approval.
Move approval. Second.
Items that we're considering tonight are approval of the inauguration and seating of the president of the Board of Trustees and 3 trustees for the town of Normal for May 1st, 2017, and approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of May 1st, 2017. And approval of town of Normal expenditures for payment as of May 10th, 2017. A resolution awarding a bid to Diamond Vogel Paints of Bloomington, Illinois for the purchase of pavement paint and beads for an estimated cost of $37,075. A resolution awarding the bid for concrete to the low bidder, Stark Materials Company Incorporated, at a price per cubic yard of $96.63 for high early mix and $87.50 for SI mix. And we still don't know what those are, do we, Gene? Yeah. A resolution authorizing the purchase of Smithco Sweep Star 60 riding self-propelled sweeper from Burris Equipment. A resolution to accept bids and authorize staff to enter into a contract with TSI Commercial Floor Covering Incorporated for the replacement of carpeting on the second floor of the Children's Discovery Museum and fitness room flooring at the Community Activity Center. And this is in the amount of $57,220. A resolution to waive the formal bid process and authorizing staff to renew an elevator service contract, including associated contract modifications with Cone Incorporated in the amount of $28,133.04. A resolution waiving the formal bid process and authorizing the city manager to execute a contract for the installation of shade structures for the athletic fields at Champion Fields, and that is through the U.S. Community Government Purchasing Alliance at a not-to-exceed cost of $95,000. And a resolution to reimburse Young America Realty for emergency repair expenses incurred at 504 West Willow Street related to a sewer main blockage. Please call the roll.
Mr. McBride?
Aye.
Mrs. Cummings?
Aye.
Mrs. Lorenz?
Aye.
Mr. Preston?
Aye.
Mr. McCarthy?
Aye.
Mayor Kus?
Aye. The omnibus agenda is approved. We have one order of general orders tonight, and that's a resolution conditionally approving an amended site plan for Grossinger Motors at 1430 Fort Jesse Road. Motion for approval?
Move approval. Second.
Second.
Thank you. Is there discussion on this item? Mr. McCarthy?
Yeah, probably a staff question. Reading through the report and the commission report, they ask a question about locating some of the signs on Towanda and just kind of get your, why that seemed to be kind of let go. I was just curious about why that discussion didn't continue.
Sure. The representative from Grossinger that evening indicated that it's a preference of the manufacturers to have their sign somewhat aligned with the position of that manufacturer in the building. And so what you end up with is signs that are all along Fort Jesse, although the point was raised that, well, Mercedes is on the corner, so technically you could put the Mercedes sign on Towanda and it would be okay. But I know subsequent to that meeting, that representative who's here tonight spoke with the owner of the dealership, but also she confirmed that the manufacturers are pretty set on these locations. And staff just felt like it wasn't enough of a difference to pursue it, but, certainly discussed.
Okay. And I guess from your perspective, looking at this, all I could see was the one picture in the packet about kind of looking down Fort Jesse. We're adding another sign basically to Fort Jesse. Did I understand that right?
We are adding another sign, although, partly because Audi and
VW.
are splitting up, and so it's
Right.
like, I think
Okay.
you're still seeing a similar amount of sign. I mean,
Okay.
there is more square footage, and they are technically separate, and they're in the similar lineup, but they are all going to be new
So
instead
same
of.
brands.
Yeah, mm-hmm,
Okay, great. That's all. Thank you.
sure.
Further on this item? Please call the roll.
Mrs. Cummings? Aye. Mrs. Lorenz?
Aye.
Mr. Preston?
Aye.
Mr. McCarthy?
Aye.
Mr. McBride?
Aye.
Mayor Kus?
Aye, the resolution is approved. We have one item in new business, and that's a motion to appoint to the Human Relations Commission. Motion for approval, please.
Move approval. Second.
As this is an item of personnel, there will be no discussion unless a council member would like to take this to executive session. And seeing no such request, please call the roll.
Mrs. Lorenz?
Aye.
Mr. Preston?
Aye.
Mr. McCarthy?
Aye.
Mr. McBride?
Aye.
Mrs. Cummings? Aye. Mayor Kus?
Aye. The motion is approved, and Mr. McCarthy, the pro temist among us tonight.
Pro-temist among us.
Would you please read that appointment?
Say that 3 times fast. Certainly be a pleasure. We're welcoming Ms. Janae Henson to the Human Relations Commission, filling a long-term vacancy. Ms. Henson moved to Normal in 2015. She's a graduate of Illinois State University, a degree in international business, and is currently employed with State Farm Insurance. Prior to joining State Farm, she served with WJBC as their station manager and director of marketing and communication at Radio Bloomington. In addition to her professional accomplishments, Ms. Henson is a dedicated community volunteer. She's assisted several large organizations to coordinate many events, including Relay for Life, Jingle Bell Run, Not in Our Town, the Red Cross, and the American Heart Association. And it's our pleasure to welcome Ms. Janae Henson to the Human Relations Commission.
Thank you. Before taking a motion for adjournment, are there concerns or comments? Seeing none. Motion for adjournment, please.
So moved. Second.
Please call the roll.
Mr. Preston?
Aye.
Mr. McCarthy?
Aye.
Mr. McBride?
Aye.
Mrs. Cummings? Aye. Mrs. Lorenz?
Aye.
Mayor Kus?
Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you.